Welcome to FineScale Modeler Weekly. Let's take off with ICM's 135th scale CH-54A Tarhe.
Often referred to by the name given to its civil counterpart, Sky Crane, the CH-54A could lift payloads of up to 20,000 pounds.
The big helicopter was used extensively in the Vietnam War to deliver equipment, reposition artillery, retrieve downed aircraft, and even transport boats.
This truly versatile aircraft was also used to clear landing zones with the BLU-82 Daisy Cutter bomb.
The front end, with the crew cabin, builds from the front, bottom, top, and sides. Surface detail is a combination of fine recessed panel lines and raised rivets. Similar features mark the top and bottom of the center section, tail boom, and horizontal stabilizer. The long insect-like structure is bolstered by sturdy interlocking internal frames, a feature extended to the landing gear supports.
Cockpit detail includes a floor, instrument panel, center and overhead consoles, seats, and controls. Behind it is the control cab for the winch and sling system.
Up top are two detailed engines including intakes with filters, exhausts, bodies, and other equipment. They connect to the transmission for the main rotor head and its 6 blades. A long drive shaft carries power to the tail rotor. Detail throughout is amazing.
The glazings for the windshield, doors, and other windows are crystal clear with solid frame outlines. The decals provide instrument faces, stencils, and markings for 2 Vietnam War Tarhes. One from the 273rd Assault Support Helicopter Company in 1968, the other from the 101st Airborne Division in 1969.
This is a big model with the advantage that it's in 135th scale, so it can be matched with other kits as its payloads. We've already seen a couple of neat dioramas of this posed lifting other vehicles and even a Tamiya PBR.
Our next kit comes from Takom, the 135th scale T-55AD.
The latest in Takom's long line of T-54-55 tank kits, this one represents a small subset of the vehicles that were fitted with the Drozd, or Drozd, I'm not sure how it's pronounced. Let me know in the comments if you know how it's pronounced.
This is an active protection system that fires a missile at other incoming missiles when they're aimed at the tank.
It was primarily deployed by the Soviet naval infantry. Use in Afghanistan showed it was effective at protecting the tank, but often resulted in collateral damage amongst nearby dismounted infantry.
Takom's T-55s are good-looking models with sharp lower hull details, multi-part upper hulls with the glacis, turret race, engine deck, rear plate, and fenders separate.
The suspension includes road wheel arms, drive sprockets, idlers, and road wheels with separate tires. Individual link tracks finish the running gear. Fuel panniers, toolboxes, tools, optional driver's hatches, and more finish the hull.
The turret has molded cast texture, and a vinyl dust cover attaches the 2-part main gun. Hatches, grab handles, a spotlight, and Dushka machine gun equip the turret.
The Drozd system mounts on the turret and includes the tracking unit, missile tubes, and associated equipment. Smoke launchers are also included. Clear plastic supplies light lenses, periscopes, and vision blocks. Photo etch metal gives engine grills, fender brackets, spare track racks, and trim. The decals provide guards emblems for an overall green tank and a turret number for another in 3-color camo.
If you're a fan of T-55s, this is an interesting variant to add to your collection. From Revell, here's the 1/24th scale Gone Fishing kit of a 1980 Ford Bronco pulling a bass boat and trailer.
Let's start with the truck, which originated as a monogram kit. The body is mostly a single piece with good trim moldings and engine bay details. The hood is separate, as is the optional rear cover.
Under the hood is a Sharp V8 power plant with separate heads, fan, exhaust and intake manifolds, and air cleaner. The frame is a single part with much of the exhaust and fuel tank molded in. A transfer case connects the transmission to the front and rear suspension, axles, and drive shafts. Chrome parts include the bumpers, front grille, brush guard, mirrors, and optional wheels. The latter get wrapped with unbranded off-road tires. Wheel flares, a jack, roof rack, jerry can, and optional skis are provided.
The interior tub receives front seats, a rear bench, dashboard, and controls. The windshield, backlight, and side rear windows are separate parts, and the light lenses are here also.
The boat and its deck are 2 large pieces with well-molded details. An interior section gives more seating, the controls, and fish finder. There is also a trolling motor and fishing seats fore and aft. The big outboard motor finishes the boat.
The trailer comprises a large platform with wheel arches and diamond plate texture that sits on leaf-sprung axles and wheels. An equipment box sits on the hitch. Rubber tires grounded, and a small chrome-plated tree has foot rails, cleats, and the tow ball.
Sharply printed decals supply stripes for the boat and truck, badging and placards, lettering for the spare tire cover, and license plates for Wisconsin and Ontario.
So I'm not sure that these two items have ever been kitted together, but it provides a nice opportunity for a fun build.
Several years ago, we looked at Takom's 1/72nd scale M1070 and trailer in a video.
And Chris Cortez built it for a workbench review. You can find links to both of those in the description.
Takom revisits the M1070 rig as a gun truck used by the U.S. Army in Iraq.
Much of the kit remains the same as the previous release, including the cab, suspension and mechanicals, and the wheels and axles. New is the box for the back with sides, floor, and roof with 2 gun positions. Padded standoff armor, presumably Kevlar, gunner's platforms, with shields and rings for a 50 caliber machine gun and a 40mm grenade launcher.
Photo-etched brass supplies add-on armor for the cab as well as engine screens and details. A tiny ill-cut decal sheet provides markings for a single gun truck in NATO camo with red primer add-ons.
This is a neat kit of a very cool vehicle that has kind of a Mad Max vibe going on.
Finally, here's a new book tracing the paint, markings, and production of Radial engine FW190s.
Written by Bryan McDermott, an IPMS USA Nationals winner for Best Aircraft, whose work has been featured in FSM, this first of several planned volumes focuses on aircraft built at Norddeutschen Dornier Werk factories.
Bryan opens the book with a discussion of NDW's facilities, then looks at individual production, including airframe parts, with a focus on how those components were painted as they left the factory.
Colors and their uses are explained, and individual aircraft are described in detail. Period photos and plenty of beautifully rendered color profiles support the text.
If you have an interest in FW190s and are looking for finishing information, this is a terrific resource.
Look for reviews of the CH-54, Ford, and M1070 at FineScale.com.
The place to find all sorts of how-to articles, videos, reviews, and more.
And don't forget to stop by CombatHobbyStore.com for all kinds of high-quality tools, including these Kolinsky paintbrushes from Green Stuff World that are sure to lift your finishing game. FineScale Modeler Weekly, brought to you by Hobby Zone USA, your source for hobby storage solutions, hard-to-find hobby tools, and aftermarket modeling needs.
How do you apply superglue? Now, we've all started out, right? We've all been there at the workbench, cavemen, have no tools, don't know what to do. We just go right to the bottle. Take the bottle, squeeze it onto the model, and oh goodness, we create a mess. Either we've glued our hands, our hair, the cat's hair, the dog's hair, the model to another model, the model to workbench, or maybe you spill the super glue, like I did a month ago, onto the workbench. Chase yourself out because you can't breathe anymore. Glue's in your nose, is making your eyes water. It takes 3 days to air the place out. Not good. We evolve, right? We go from having no tools to a simple tool. Toothpick, piece of wood. Good for picking teeth, acting like you're a gunslinger in the Old West. Go ahead, use that, dip it in the super glue, and then apply it. Okay, that works. Some of us, we like to be MacGyver. We go ahead and chop the end off of a innocent sewing needle and use the open eye to apply our super glue to the models. But some of us, many of us, we've evolved to use the glue looper from Creative Dynamic. You can see that we've got 2 different versions here right now, version 2 or V2 and V4. Both of these are designed for low viscosity super glues.
Professor Kidwell,
Mr. Skinner.
What's viscosity?
Yeah, so we're not gonna get into a lot of like sciencey stuff, but basics here, right? Viscosity, low viscosity means that it flows easily, like water. High viscosity means that that super glue is gonna be thicker. So like your gel super glues. Does that answer your question?
Sure.
All right, back to the glue loopers. Low viscosity, on version 2, you're gonna see that you get 10 loopers, 4 really small applicators, 4 medium-sized applicators, and 2 larger applicators. On the version 4, you're going to get 7 applicators with an open end, very much like what we had here with our needle from earlier. Open applicator, and what it's gonna do is it's gonna help you get a very precise one shot of super glue, boom, and then it's done, right? Using capillary action. I really like these products. I started using them way back in the day, I guess, when they were still made out of brass. And I've become a huge, huge fan of them. So as you can see, you remove the looper that you want to use from the fret, just like you would with any other photo etch metal part. And it will then fit into a standard knife blade handle. So like right here, I've got my Tamiya Craft Tools handle with my looper down here at the end. So what you want to do then is go ahead and get the parts that you want to glue and then dip it into the glue. You can see right there, flows right up in, and then you can go ahead and flow the glue via capillary action right into the space that you want to glue. Now, this glue takes 3 seconds to dry, right? Looks like it's done the job there. I can go ahead and just continue to apply. You can see it picks up that glue. You run the glue right down in there, drying up pretty fast. And you can just do this wherever you want, right? And obviously, oh, that was a really nice one where it went across there. Flowed really nice. Do it down here too. And there's your super glue, applied with the glue looper. I'll give one more. It will happen that the glue looper, the little hoop at the end, or the little fork on the other one, it's going to get occluded.
Professor Kidwell,
Mr. Skinner.
what does occluded mean?
It means it's going to get clogged.
Okay. Couldn't you have just said clogged?
I could have, but I used occluded instead.
Okay.
That will be on the test.
Okay. Thank you.
So, in any case, it will get occluded, it'll get clogged, and you're going to want to clean that out because if you're trying to apply the super glue while it's all clogged up like that, it's going to be kind of messy, right? There's a real easy way to do that. Take a lighter, come over to your glue looper, and just burn it on out. Once it is no longer hot, give it a couple of seconds, right? You don't want burnt fingers. Just go ahead, clear this. And then you're ready to go again. Like I said, I really like these products from Creative Dynamic. I've been using this particular glue looper, this one right here, since November of last year. They are eventually going to wear out. The more you use it, obviously the quicker that's going to happen, right? But like I say, pretty constant use since November of last year. It's still going strong. And when I do run out, or when it does finally, run its course, I've got more that I can take out of the fret and use. You can get these at KalmbachHobbyStore.com. Both versions, 2 and 4.
So,
Parts organization at the workbench.
Right.
Like sprues, parts, that whole thing.
right.
Right.
You've got a whole bunch of sprues and you're trying to figure out how to keep them organized so you can find a part.
Now, we're all familiar, well, maybe not all of us, some of us are new. There are sprue or parts tree organizers. Micromark has them, Hobby Zone has them.
Looks like a toast rack.
Exactly, right? It's, some uprights with narrow space where you can go ahead and slide a sprue or parts tree into it, and it's supposed to help you organize your parts for building.
And I think you and I have both used them and have been less than satisfied with the results. It just seems to be in the way, right?
Either I find it in the way, and where I'm moving and I'm catching arm or whatever, they don't always stand up straight. In the end, I've kind of moved it to a secondary workbench, and it just takes up space.
Right. For me, I mean, I've tried other methods, but the thing that I just always fall back on is I just leave the parts in the box. The sprues in the box, I don't clip parts early unless it's a really big obvious part, because I don't want to get to a point where I'm like going, oh, I clipped this off and I don't know if it's part 41A or 42A.
And that's exactly how I've always built, right?
Right.
Is keep it in the box and then, because heaven forbid, like you clip something off and then you lose it. And that's, so I rarely clip something off the tree before I'm ready to either paint and then build, or I'm going to add it to whatever it is that I'm building. So I want to just clean it up and go. Or, I mean, I think we've all done the thing where if we're like working on a cockpit, right, we'll clip all the parts for the cockpit because we know we're working on that and we kind of have a good idea of where everything is. So then we'll go ahead and just do that.
Like if you're going to do it in that one session, it makes sense.
If you're going to do a sub-assembly, just go ahead and get all that together, do the painting, and then get it together. I think we've all done that.
But there are a couple people we know who do a slightly different methods where they may clip a lot of parts off the trees. So.
Right. Former Scale Auto contributor, Pat Covert, who also wrote books for Kalmbach Publishing, Kalmbach Media, he would clip the parts off for his cars or his automobile builds, and then organize them in silverware trays, right? And I guess I can see that if you're doing a model that has 100 or maybe 120 parts or something like that. But if you're doing something like what Chuck Davis is doing right now, which is the USS Missouri, and it's 500 or 700 or 800 parts, I'd be scared out of my mind.
Right. Particularly since on something like a ship, so many of them are so similar, but not necessarily exactly the same.
Right,
so
yeah.
You want to be sure you're getting the right turret parts. With
Where
the right
does this go?
Right. but he uses a different method, right? He uses color-coded bins.
Yes, he does. So he clips everything out and then organizes by how he needs to paint them, and then uses color-coded bins to keep them, at least in his mind, inventoried and knowing where he's going to place them or wherever they're going to go. It still freaks me out to see him do it.
It's like brinksmanship. I'm thinking, what's going to happen for me? And this is maybe just me because I'm clumsy spice, but I would overturn like 2 of those bins, and now all the parts
they're just gone.
I'd
right.
be disorganized, and I wouldn't know what I was doing.
So we're interested in knowing how it is that you organize your sprues, your parts during your builds at your workbench. And you can let us know in the comments below, or you can email us at tips@finescale.com. And what's cool about that is you can also include pictures. If there's a certain kind of way, a system that you have, and you can show us what that is through pictures, that'd be really great.
And you can check out how Chuck does his bin organization in the link in the description to a snapshot.
It's not a snapshot, it's just a straight story.
Okay, straight story at the link in the description.
That's it for FineScale Modeler Weekly.
Thanks for watching.
We'll see you next time.
When they're aimed at the tank.
I'm sorry.
That's okay.
I'm just sitting here going, do-do-do-do-do.
From Revell, here's a 1/24th scale. Sorry, I tilted my head weird. A jack, roof rack, and production of radial engine.
Oh no, it's sliding. Woo! No, I should have gotten it. All right, it's already recording. No.
How do you apply your superglue? Now, if you are a Neanderthal, Diane, you're gonna have to take out my sniffles.
What is a clue did?
It means it's gonna get clogged.
Could you not have just said clogged?
I could have said clogged. You're just a pain. All right, so anyway, luckily I don't send you to the principal's office.